out of the 5 dragon gods, 6 I guess if you want to count Dogramag, we have a decent understanding about the kind of the baseline aspects about them. When you look at Mercephobia used to be a more anti-human dragon that would eat humans and kill them all the time. Eventually he ended up changing sides and started to work towards pretty much atoning for the things that he did after he decided that, he wanted to side with humans instead. Alderaan is more just anti-human. He was pretty much just saw humans as cattle and stayed on that very hardline dragon-only side. Whereas Ignia is like independent. He doesn't seem to really care. He just kind of seems to do whatever the hell he feels like, but more from a standpoint of it's like, I don't really care if someone's a human or a dragon, if they're somebody that can fight, or if there's something that's in my way, I'm going to deal with it, and if they're not, then whatever. Whereas with Selene, I'm very curious as to Selene's origins, because Selene out of them has the more kind of very odd, jarring aspects of her current plan, and obviously, out of them, she's been the one that has been pseudo-living like a human in Ellentir for a while. So, what I mean by that is when you look at the aspects of her story, now she wants to make sure there's no other dragons on the planet but her, so she can live as the strongest human, and obviously she'll never truly be human, but the wording of that is obviously very, very strange. It's very odd that she would, want to be human when she's part of what used to be the strongest species on the planet. I mean, technically it's, they still are, even with the handful of dragons that exist, but why though? What exactly is what caused this? I'm very much in the ballpark of it has to do with Selene's design. When you look at her, obviously the moon dragon, you'd think that just from the name, it would, look more cosmic, kind of like the Meowgaluna from Mishima's Monster Hunter series. It had the whole crystalline wings and stuff, which would make sense with stuff like, in fact, that is Stellanium, which absorbs sun, moon, and starlight. We have not confirmed, but I feel like it's obvious, Stellanium dragon with Animus. And with Selene, she's more designed, obviously, after a nine-tailed fox, a kitsune from Japanese folklore. The reason that's important is when you really look at aspects of the kitsune and their interactions with people, knowing aspects about like how their interactions with humans, some of them wanting to be human, disguising themselves as human. There's even stories of some that ended up parading lives as humans, pretty much just spending years in a human form, having families with a human, only to be ousted as a fox at some point. There's also things about them that tell us about their kind of like their age, their power, their wisdom, and that's their tails. So when we see the other dragon gods, it's a little hard to say with Ignia because our only other template is Igneo, but it's like, does he have all that extra stuff because he's stronger, a more developed dragon? Like, does it have to do with a power level thing? Or is it just because like maybe his mother was like a slightly different dragon and those genes mixed in? That's obviously a question mark. With Alderaan, you have to look at the fact that he used to not be this big, and it's not like Igneo who trained for those centuries to get stronger. Alderaan found a way to become more powerful by pretty much just utilizing people living on his back, absorbing power from them, absorbing them as they died, and then integrating that all into his body as he grew larger over time and more powerful. With Selene, there's the fact that with the Kitsune, they will get gain more tails as they get older and stronger and wiser. Now, I was looking at Selene, I don't think we've seen like a direct amazing shot of all her tails. I've counted like 7, and then like her main dragon tails would be 8, and I know that the limit for the Kitsune is 9, so like I feel like she's got a 9th tail, and I just haven't like made a good visual appearance like sighting of it. I probably have to go back and look at a couple stuff, but it is something that could give us an indicator of her, like how old is she, if it's 8, is she gonna have a spot to get more powerful? What exactly is going to be the whole aspect of that? Like, what exactly is going to be the mystery on Selene's species? But also, from that, where are all these nine-tailed fox things going to fit into place? So, my theory and my guess towards Selene's character, kind of like what's going on in their backstory, is my belief, because we see them, like I said, the dragon gods have all had different core motivations that not just from, whatever their personal goals are, but more from the standpoint of how dragons stood between being for or anti-human, because that's a big thing that happened between the dragons, is that, that caused their civil war, that caused the Dragon King Festival, and eventually the Dragon Slayers to be born and Acnologia to show up, pretty much ending their age. They led to their own destruction. And when we look at that, you're gonna think, okay, well, we have, again, Alderaan and Mercephobia, who both started out completely not for humans. Mercephobia ended up switching sides, and Alderaan stayed there. Igni is more independent. We don't know anything about Vyrnids, obviously, and Dogromag seemed to be more for dragons. Like, obviously, like, he seems to want an Age of Dragon. Assuming that whatever he had planned with Ignia is that, unless it was another scheme that they just kind of had. Maybe it was that, like, wanting to bring back the dragons. Because I feel like it would make sense, like, even if they're not that, like, hard dragons only, we eat humans kind of thing, it would make sense of, even if he didn't have that mindset, why he would want to start a new Age of Dragons. Obviously, you don't want your species to die out. But with Selene, I believe that Selene was initially a very pro-human dragon. And potentially, she ended up having, like, a lot of different negative interactions between humans and dragons. Like, imagine something kind of like how Acnologia went through, but instead of, obviously, like, a destructive, more blood-tied, horrible occurrence where things just went immediately downhill for him and everything just was torn apart. If it's maybe more personal and emotional, like maybe Selene, because of her siding with humans, wouldn't let her, be as close to other dragons. Maybe other dragons didn't really want to be around her or didn't agree with her. And maybe the humans never really saw the fact that she was, they know that she's a dragon, so it's like always like they would be aware and cautious and stuff of her. So she would never truly fit in. And I think this would make a lot of sense. That would lead Selene up to pretty much just being, well, I'm pretty much just out for myself. Everything that I do is for myself, my own entertainment, and to keep myself pretty much just happy. So there's a lot of mystery and aspects coming up to Selene, and I've really enjoyed that, because one thing when you look at, like, earlier Fairy Tail, and now there's not nearly as many large-scale mysteries hanging in the story. There are still some in 100 Years Quest, but this is definitely one that I really have had my mind I've been trying to wrap my head around Selene's whole motivations for a while, because they're very strange. Why would a dragon, especially as powerful as you, especially like a mother dragon who has offspring, we don't know if she has any that are alive, who knows, but why would you want to pretty much just make it a humans-only world? And then on top of that, like, what is her plan? Just to forever live? Because we don't even know if dragons die of old age. She could literally just live, I guess, forever as, like, a, the most powerful human ruling the world or something. Again, a lot of mystery there. There's a lot of questions, and I'm gonna do way more of an extensive look into the lore, but I think, like, right now there's enough that we can look at and say, like, I can see connections. I just need fractions. I need fractions of Selene's background to tie into maybe other certain stories, or tie them into, like, the base lore of Kitsune, or was it Inari, that other type of yokai fox. There's a lot of stuff there that I know Mishima, like, I don't think he's going one for one in, like, taking lore and turning it into Selene, but I feel like whatever Selene's mysteries are loosely tied into that. Like, we could find bits and clues to figure out aspects about her. Right now, the problem is we just don't know much about her at all. There's nothing really to gauge off of her character. Like with Alderaan, we know that at one point he tried to go back and fight Acnologia, even after he left. 100 years after he left, he tried to go fight him again, and it went poorly for him. We have a very good understanding of that, so we know what got him to that spot. He doesn't need nearly as much backstory, like, information, because, I mean, his is pretty open and shut. It's mostly just, like, he was pretty much going to be the big example of a very anti-human dragon, and, that's essentially what he amounts to. He did a good job of it, but Selene's obviously got a lot more mystery to her and a lot more questions that we're going to have to really be standing by to see. Like I said, I'm just pretty much waiting for, like, a smidgen of information on her backstory. We're getting there. Like I said, the stuff with her wanting to live in this only human world is, it was a really good step in finding out stuff. It's like, okay, we can connect that to lore from, you know, these yokai foxes, stuff that actually may end up giving us indications about like her backstory and things that she has experienced that put her in this spot now. Selene's got a lot of this mystery, and I'm really hoping we get something from the Ignia fight. Like, I don't need her to go into a lore dump, but I'm really hoping for some form of important lore interaction, like telling us something about what's going on, or maybe finding out something about them. Like, even if it's something like Selene could tell us who, you know, Ignia's mother was. Like, what if we found out something like that, and we just see like a panel of Ignia, Igniel, and I guess we wouldn't see Ignia there, because it would be the mother and Ignia, and then Igniel's gone. He doesn't have time for that. But we would still be given, I would say, some fair lore information, because it would make sense for Selene to know. She seems to be watching a lot of people, knows a lot, and keeps tabs on a lot of things, which is also one of the things that these yokai foxes do, is they would keep tabs on people. They would always be watching, and they'd be able to like view and vision things from long distances, which again aligns up a lot with Selene. So, other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this. This is a short theory. Nothing too like, wow. This is essentially like a precursor to a later video. Like, this is still something to build up information, to kind of just like, okay, I have some stuff right now, and I will build off of this, off of the next one, essentially. And, you know, we'll eventually, maybe there'll be there'll be the second one that kind of gives more of it, and then by the third installment of this, it will be the full understanding of Selene, or at least enough for me to get like a really good grasp on, okay, this is probably what happened to her, this is what led her to now. I can really easily see some form of conflict on both sides that led her to want to do this, or maybe just the dragons. Maybe she was shunned by her own species, and that's why she wanted to be human, or at least disguise herself as human. I think that would also make a lot of sense. If something happened with, you know, maybe where she was at was very anti-human. She liked the humans, but because of that, she was shunned by her species. But the dragon, or the humans, maybe even knew about her being a dragon, so they were always, again, uneasy. So again, she just would never feel like she fit in, but she would want to be human. Again, very odd stuff. And that to me is like one of the bigger things with Selene, like I said, because it will give us a really nice layer to her character if we can get something like that. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, but friend, like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. When that version of these are subscribed, thank you all for listening. Bye.